running for mayor, and two others. A guy, Lance Nelson is one, and Rod Westbrook is the other. So those are the three. And then Angie is running for election. Joel, Bill.
So then you can hear me. Check, check, check. Yeah.
They made a proposal at one point to multifamily housing on the I-84 property over there, on the Stevens property.
Well, I think she's coming to this meeting, so you can spread out all you want. You got a table to yourself. I sit there. I had a salad tonight. Burley burger, and I'm going.
It's a 2 burly day.
Well, I put it in the refrigerator. I gotta wait. There was a lot of food.
Well, I've got a whole other shake tomorrow.
Did you finish off your fries?
I actually gave those to Tim. He is a big fan, and I was like, I think I'm done for today. So why don't you finish these up? He was happy that
on Marshall Way.
Tim.
We ready?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Wash my kid.
Sure. We'll give you another chair.
All right. Okay, welcome everybody. I'd like to welcome everyone out tonight to our council meeting of June 8th, 2021. It is 6:01 p.m. and all council members are in attendance. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Halverson, then I will give the prayer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Father in heaven, we're so grateful to meet here this evening as a council and as a city, and grateful for the opportunity to serve in this wonderful place. We're so grateful for the people that live here, and pray that we'll make the choices that are the best for them and for all of us. And please help thy spirit to be with us and guide and direct us in our decisions. Father, we're grateful for those who serve to keep us safe and free. We're grateful for the military, fire, police, and all they do and all they sacrifice to protect us, and pray for them and their safety and their health. Father, again, we're grateful for this opportunity, and please be with us this evening. And we say these things in thy son's name, amen.
Amen.
All right. Before we get into the bulk of the agenda, Dave has a public service announcement.
Oh. I already reminded the council that there's a jazz game tonight at 8, so let's stay on track.
All right, thank you.
Thanks
So stay on task,
indulging
everyone.
me.
All right, we will begin with public comment. Please state your name and address. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Address the entire council and know that we won't respond during public comment. And Merce is ready to go.
My name is Merv Taylor. I live at 8062 South, 2300 East in South Weaver, Utah. I've been a resident here for over 30 years. I just want to tell you guys how much we appreciate you. And I'm speaking for the vocal silent group majority, because we appreciate you and we love you. We ask you to keep on track, stay with the city plan and move ahead. You guys are doing a super job. Don't listen to the vocal minority. They don't want to progress this city at all. They'd like to put a gate on each end of South Weaver Drive and say, that's it. If you put the road up the hill, we're going to have criminals coming in here. Well, guess what? They're already here. You know, we're not keeping them out. But think about this. When you leave this city, where are you? You're in Riverdale, Layton, Washington Terrace, South Ogden, Ogden City. Do you think they look at us and say, oh, criminals, felons are coming? I pray to God they don't. Please build the road, stay on track, help build this city. I've lived here, like I said, over 30 years. People have lived here for 10 years, don't want anybody else moving in. I mean, it's a great place to live. We have third generation families that live here because this has been such a great city. I love you guys. I pray every day for your well-being. I'm thankful with the decisions that you make, and please keep our city going the way it is. I mean, we're just doing great. All I can say is thank you. And I'm going to leave because I probably ruffled some feathers. But the vocal minority does not speak for the silent majority. I love you. May God bless us all. Thank you.
Thanks, Merv.
Thank you, Merv. You need a secretary or something, Paul. You need a secretary.
No, we can see why I did it the way I did it. Yes, it's big letters from Blair.
Oh, sure.
Paul Sturm, 2527 Deer Run Drive. I have an overall general comment. First of all, I would like to express my appreciation to the mayor, city council, and city staff for all the work involved in preparing the budget and reviewing the other information for tonight's meeting. Concerning agenda item 6, I am particularly impressed with Brandon Jones and his staff at Jones & Associates in preparing the long-awaited storm drain capital facilities plan and impact fee facilities plan that was last produced for South Weaver in 1999. This was a tremendous amount of effort, of work, since it has been over 20 years since the previous plan was prepared, and all of the significant changes that have occurred since 1999 within the city. The attention to detail shown in this current plan demonstrate a superior work effort. On item 8, once again, the street maintenance project has the detail to clearly inform the city and its residents of pending projects to improve city streets. And now the little comment, agenda item 11, concerning the consolidated field fee schedule. I have a question from page 82 of 102 of the amended packet in chapter 7, section 5, residential. In chapter 7, section 1, parks and trails, section 2, public safety fire station, and section 3, recreation building, all show an impact fee per dwelling unit. Whereas in section 5, sewer residential, there is no distinction shown for the number of dwelling units. Is this an oversight? Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
I was not planning, but I decided to, inspired by Paul. My name is Michael Grant, 2622 Deer Run Drive. I understand Staker Parsons pit, the most of the revenues go to City of Roy, and for Geneva pits, the revenues go to Draper. What are we gaining from it? I know we collect taxes, property taxes. So if we are going to extend it, there should be some benefit to us. So at some point, if you guys can explain it to the people. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. All right, any further public comment? Okay, hearing none. Did the council have any comments before we move to the next item?
I'd like to address one of the public comments, if I may, Mayor. Paul, on your agenda item number 11, I don't believe it's a mistake. Sewer and both water, those fees are based upon the water meter size. And because the water into the house is based upon a 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inch, so forth, and sewer is related to the amount of water that comes in, the water that goes out. So that's why it's not per residential unit, it's by the meter size. No. Understood.
Mayor, I'd like to make a comment as well. Sure. Okay. For Michael, so for Staker Parsons, they donate a portion to our recreation department, and that can vary year to year. Last year, I believe it was close to 90,000. Am I correct on that?
So there's actually a number of different ways that the city receives money from Staker Parson. They have a point of sale as part of their operation down there. So we receive sales tax from the point of sale off of that. They're actually our largest individual producer of sales tax. Approximately 10% of all that we receive in sales tax money comes from Staker Parson, as well as an amount specifically designated that goes to the recreation program that's part of a development agreement with them based on the amount of material they extract, above and beyond, as you described, property taxes associated with the property.
Thanks, Dave. So I don't have a specific number for Geneva, but that's what I know about Staker Parsons.
But I think you're referring to the proposal for Planning Commission, where Geneva is proposing to change the use of a piece of property. So that'll be on the Planning Commission agenda, and I agree with you.
All right, let's move to the next item, which is approval of the consent agenda, which consists of the May 11th minutes. Other comments or questions on the consent agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further comment? We'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilman Windsor.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries unanimously. Next item is public hearing for the tentative budget 2021 through 22. The council approved resolution 2126 on May 11th. The public hearing for that tentative budget was moved from May 25th to tonight to allow adequate time for public notice. Are there any comments by council or staff before we open the public hearing? And then do I have a motion to open public hearing?
Mayor, I make the motion we go into public hearing for tentative budget 2021-22.
We have a
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are now in public hearing. Okay, and hearing none.
Make a motion to close the public hearing, Mayor.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, our next item is the public hearing for the Storm Drain Capital Facilities Plan and Impact Fee Facilities Plan. I'm going to first turn the time over to Brandon for an overview of this item.
Okay, thank you. I am very grateful, Paul. That was very nice of you to be so complimentary of the work that's gone into it. It's certainly not just me. A lot of input from Public Works and the staff to try to put together what is a very comprehensive report on the status of our storm drain system. I appreciate you reading the whole thing. That's very impressive. So have I. Just kidding. What it includes, I'll be brief because obviously there's a lot of detail you could go into, and I'm not going to dive deep. it essentially covers, based on modeled information and the existing piping infrastructure that we have throughout the city, areas where there's existing deficiencies, which just means that if no future development were to come into the cities, we still have a problem. Some of those deficiencies are small, and some of them are, there's not very many that are large, thankful to say. It also identifies needs for future development. And so we put together the projects that are needed in order to address those deficiencies for both existing and future. We identify what portion of those costs goes to existing deficiencies, what portion goes to the future system improvements. Future system improvements are eligible for impact fees, the collection of impact fees. Existing deficiencies has to be paid for in some other way. That's essentially what the plan covers. Are there any questions from anybody about that? You're smiling, Haley?
It's a great report. I read it too.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, thank you, Brandon. You have done a great job on that, and everyone else that was involved as well. Thank you. Do I have a motion to go into public hearing for storm facility, capital facilities plan, and impact fee facilities plan?
Actually, I'm sorry, Joe. I do have a question for Brandon. I just remembered. Is that okay?
Yes.
Following up with Silver Reef Basin retention, do you have an answer on that situation?
I actually went and looked at it physically myself today. There was some concern that had been raised that the Silverleaf detention basin wasn't functioning properly, or that it was undersized. I have reviewed that. I've looked at the structure itself. I can't speak to the history completely because I wasn't here when the basin was first built, but the design plans show an orifice plate. I think there was some concern that that had been removed at some point. I looked myself today, it's still there. So as far as I can tell, and as far as the model shows, it is working adequately for the purpose it was designed. Even the volume in the detention basin models in a way that it's sufficient for what it needs to provide. There's an element to everything in storm drain that has to do with maintenance. Certainly cleaning boxes, cleaning grates, that has an impact on how well the system functions. Sometimes there's events that can happen that will cause us to have some problems that are kind of out of our control. For example, sometimes with a really, really heavy storm, or maybe you have a little bit of hail, it can shred leaves, and then here comes the storm and the leaves just completely plug up the grates. That can happen. In situations like that. Public Works can't be everywhere to make sure that those are all cleaned off. And so in low spots, you may have some flooding or something that happens, but it's a unique situation, and it doesn't reflect on the ability of the system to provide the needed drainage. So I don't feel like there's anything that needs to be added to the capital facilities plan to address those concerns. I feel like everything that we can see, the system is still functioning the way that it should in that area.
Okay, thank you.
Did you also speak to Nathan Rich at
what?
Wasatch Integrated? Nathan Rich, to make sure that we were all good with that drainage?
I did not.
Oh,
I have
okay.
not followed up with that.
All right.
Know for sure if that has any impact in here. I do not believe that it does. Again, as you and I spoke, there was nothing that I was aware of that needed to be addressed there, but I do appreciate you bring that up. I will follow up with him.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, I don't have an answer for you on that.
That's okay. That's all right. Okay, do I have a motion to go into public hearing?
Yes, I made that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are now in public hearing. And hearing none.
Move to close the public hearing, Mayor.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're now, public hearing is closed. And we are on item number 7, ordinance 2021-08, storm drain capital facilities plan and impact fee facilities plan. Are there any more comments or questions on this?
Yeah, I'd like to chime in, Mayor, and extend my gratitude for this work that staff has done to get this document. 22 years, we've been talking about this. This is the last of the 5 capital facilities plans that the Municipal Utilities Committee has been working on, and staff did an outstanding job. I would emphasize, I shouldn't emphasize, but I will clarify that the unique thing about storm drain systems from your other systems, it's a closed system. And with that, you're entitled to some surcharging that you wouldn't in a sewer system. So some of these pipes that are identified as maybe having deficiencies isn't so much that they are a problem, in that they are because some pipes are laid fairly flat. It takes a lot of head or depth of water to push the water through a certain diameter pipeline. And when you do that, sometimes the water level raises up into the storm drain or the catch basin. A model will point that out and say, oh, you got a deficiency here. You really don't, because it's a closed system. And if it was to come outside the grate, it stays in the gutter and goes to the next one and works its way down. Sewer, not so much, because the sewer can back up into someone's home and so there's no tolerances for surcharging in a sewer, but a storm drain, you have some leeway. So some of these items, some of these pipes, somebody might look at this report and say, those pipes are only 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old. Why are they a deficiency? They're not deficient. They just happen to be in a laid in a flat section. And it's just something you need to keep your eye on as we move forward. And that's what this document does. And it kind of captures that information for this staff and future staff to identify. The other thing I want to point out that this identifies for the public is the deficiencies that are not impact related. There's 5.9 million worth of projects that need to be addressed, and we can't prioritize those until we get the impact fee analysis completed, and that's brought back. Once that's brought back, then staff will then make a recommendation as to they recommended the priority. What they haven't done yet is to be able to schedule that out and apply that over a calendar timeframe, which they need to apply. Once we've done that, then we'll have a cash flow married with the other enterprise funds, water, transportation, parks, so forth and so on, and create a holistic picture as to our capital or asset management program. So kudos to staff, huge effort what they did, and public's recognized that as well. And I just want to extend my thank you for the effort that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Then do I have a motion to approve ordinance 2021-08?
I'll make the motion to approve ordinance 2021-08 storm drain capital facilities plan and impact fee facilities plan.
Seconded.
Okay, any further comment? We'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilman Halverson.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously.
Mayor,
Yes.
may I add that this is one step in a multi-step process? And I think I'm speaking to the choir, and people are generally familiar with that, but we did the general plan. We now do a capital facilities plan and an impact fee facilities plan. Wayne hinted at it, but the next step will be an impact fee analysis and an implementation or an adoption of an impact. There's also a rate study for our storm drain system and our storm drain enterprise fund that needs to happen as well. And so all of those pieces kind of come together. And so you will see additional things related to storm drain here over the next month or so, related to the adoption of an impact fee analysis and an impact fee, and what a storm drain rate comes back, that rate study comes back, so that we can adopt utility rates for the monthly utility bill that match the needs that these plans now identify.
All right, thank you. Okay, next item is Resolution 21-32, 2021 Street Maintenance Project. 9 bids were received for 2021 street maintenance projects. These projects were bid out with 6 separate sections: mill and overlay, chip and seal, trail seal coat, concrete work, fire station concrete driveway, and crack fill. Locations of these projects were available in your packet. Jones and Associates received multiple bids for each project, with the exception of the 2 that include concrete work. This may be due to concrete shortages and high demand for concrete contractors. These 2 projects may have to be rebid next year. Jones and Associates has recommended awarding the following 4 separate contracts. For the mill and overlay, Kilgore Contracting at $388,046. For the chip and seal, Staker Parsons Companies at $136,385.50. For the trail seal coat, Advanced Paving and Construction at $6,453.50. And for the crack fill, CKC Operations LLC at $27,500.50. Are there comments or questions on this project? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 21-32?
Sorry, can I back up?
You bet.
On the formal one we're going to sign, is that typo going to be fixed as far as the total cost? Or do we do that in the motion,
In the resolution,
the resolution?
that number needs to be fixed, yes.
Yeah, so include that in the motion. What Quinn is recognized is that the total number is missing the 6,000 from section C. And so
States that it's section A, B, and F, so it needs to add C as well.
so if you want to award C there.
But can I just add a clarification? In my memo, what I should have done is given you a total at the bottom. The only reason that I added A, B, and F together was so you could see how it compared to the budget for those items, because all those items come out of the same budget area category. But it looks, the way that I've written it in the memo, it looks like it's a total, and it is a total for those 3, but it's not a total for all 4. Sorry for the confusion.
The other thing I would point out is that that section, as we are awarding these section by section, is under the $10,000 that the city council has to authorize that spend. So if you were to not include that, it still could be done under the procurement policy because it's under $10,000. So whether you include it or not include it is up to you. Either way, that section can get done.
Okay.
And I guess also I would want it to be clear that we're awarding 4 separate contracts, not an overall contract.
Right. Okay, any other comments?
I'll take a stab at a motion, Mayor.
Go for it, Angie.
Mayor, I make a motion, we approve Resolution 21-32, 2021 street maintenance project with Section A, mill and overlay being awarded to Kilgore Contracting for $388,046. Section B for chip and seal being awarded to Staker Parsons Company for $136,385.50. Section C for the trail seal coat, alternate 1 with Tough Coat P plus to Advanced Paving and Construction, $6,453.50. And Section F crack fill awarded to CKC Operations LLC in the amount of $27,500.50.
All right, we have a motion. Thank you, Councilwoman Petty. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further comments?
Very impressive.
It was. We'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilman Windsor.
Aye.
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 And the motion carries. Thank you. All right, Resolution 21-34, interlocal agreement for paramedic services transfer. On March 9th, 2021, South Weaver City Council passed a resolution approving the transfer of paramedic services from Davis County to South Weaver City. Since that time, Davis County has agreed to pay for paramedic services during the transition period. That means that the city will not be required to pay for those services until the transfer is scheduled to occur no later than December 31st, 2022. Agreement section 7B in your packet includes the language to this end. The included agreement makes one other change, amending the date in section 3 from June 1st, 2021 to August 30th, 2021, as the deadline for each city or district to provide a commitment letter to the county stating how the entity will provide paramedic services. This was changed to accommodate the various truth and taxation hearings around the county and the decision-making timeline needed. Is that bugging anyone else besides me, my microphone? Okay. All right. Just wondered if I was hearing. All right. Are there any comments or questions on this agreement?
Mayor, I have a couple comments or questions.
Sure.
First off, thank you for the updates. My questions go to, since we had another chance to look at this document, page 34 of 102 of your packet. It happens to be paragraph 7A of the agreement. Second half of that paragraph on the top of page 34, it states it is anticipated that the services from a jurisdictional authority, that being South Weber, to unincorporated areas of the county will be compensated through separate arrangements between the county and the servicing jurisdictional authority. I believe we have a few areas that are unincorporated county on the east side, Job Corps being one, south end of Cornea Drive being another. Is it anticipated that that falls within our service area, but it's outside our jurisdictional boundary? And would we want to have separate arrangements, or are we planning on having separate arrangements for those?
Yeah, so that's one of the loose ends, I guess you could say, that needs to be tied up in relation to this transfer, is that we would need to bring forward and work with the county on a separate agreement for how that would be handled.
Okay, just so you're aware of that one. Thank you. The second question I have is, when we made the recommendation or motion last time to pass this agreement, we did require, or have in that motion, the mayor sign the agreement. This addendum also has your signature in there again. I would ask that we have the mayor sign this one again with whatever motion that goes forward.
All right. Thank you, Wayne. I mean, Councilman Windsor.
I respond to both. Section 7A. Alpha, yeah.
So just a side question on the unincorporated portions, is that something that we resolve by making a part of the city somehow formally, or what?
The way this reads is there's a separate arrangements with the county. What I understand is the county's still going to levy those areas that are outside jurisdictions for the tax for paramedic services, but they're going to make other arrangements with whatever that jurisdiction that's nearby. They'll service them, so we're compensated.
But how do we bring them under the umbrella of South
I
Weaver?
believe in talking with the chief, our service area is greater than our jurisdictional boundaries. So they're already inside our service area.
Okay.
So there, yeah, that's kind of the way Derek explained it, is how they would still be covered, but it's working out the local agreement with the county to just cover the cost.
To make us whole.
Yeah, so the county's concern is making sure that they're unincorporated county areas throughout the whole county still have paramedic coverage, and that they're not providing anymore. So because there are some of those areas that we anticipate covering, we'll just need a separate agreement with them to make sure that those areas are covered. And if there's any type of compensation that's associated with that, we would not be collecting any paramedic levy for those areas. It would go to the county. In theory, we would negotiate with them or work with them on some type of compensation for our coverage of unincorporated county area.
Right. And I guess I understand that. I'm just looking longer term. Do we make them a part of incorporated South Weber so that they aren't, in the county?
Yeah, so there is a process for unincorporated areas to annex into cities. We have the annexation plan as part of our general plan, and have identified areas surrounding our current city boundaries that could incorporate into South Weber.
So it's all just annexation then?
Cities don't typically initiate those conversations. Property owners do, although there are times when cities work with property owners on that. But if the property owners were interested in annexing, then at that point that would happen.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? And do I have a motion to approve Resolution 21-34?
May I make the motion to approve Resolution 21-34 with the change that the signature be by the mayor?
33.
2133.
I've heard 32 on the agenda, 34 on the mic. Now it's 33.
What is the resolution?
That's resolution 2133.
That's not on my,
That's what it
I've got
says
it
on
as
here.
34 is for
34.
dispatch.
Yeah.
Yeah, 33 is for paramedic.
Really? Oh, okay. So do I have a motion to approve Resolution 21-33?
So moved with the signature being the mayor.
Thank you. And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further comment? Then we'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilman Halverson.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
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 The motion carries unanimously. All right, item number 10 is Resolution 21-34, correct? Interlocal agreement for dispatch services. South Weber City contracts with the Davis County Sheriff's Office for our fire EMS dispatch services. The contract renews annually with an updated cost based on a 5-year average of calls and a per call amount. The new contract total amount is $9,864.80. The price per call is $32.45, and the call volume 5-year average is 304. For comparison, last year's contract had a total price of $8,633.74 with a per call price of $31.51 and call volume 5-year average of 274. In other words, both the number of calls generated from South Weber City and the price per call are increasing. Are there comments or questions on this?
So I did have the one question, Mayor.
Sure.
In the document, the exhibit, it talks or it shows the police fee and that's blank. So is that not, we have no fee to the police, it's only the fire?
Correct. Yeah, we have a separate agreement that with the county for our law enforcement services. So
why is
that's
that?
left blank, meaning that there's no fee associated with this dispatch contract.
So is it just a generic template? I mean,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, they use the same template for all the various entities.
So other entities may have a
Correct.
cost there. Thank you.
All right, any other questions?
So this is a 3-year term. I think it's set to expire next year that we need to revisit the contract.
This is an annual contract. We do
Annual
this
contract.
annually.
Okay.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 21-34?
Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 21-34, the interlocal agreement for dispatch services.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Whoa, that was like exactly same time.
Wayne can do that one.
Okay. Any further comment? And we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilman Windsor.
Aye.
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 And the motion carries unanimously. All right. Next are discussion items. First one is the Consolidated Fee Schedule. The Consolidated Fee Schedule was last adopted on June 16, 2020. The tentative budget for 2021-22 includes a change to the sewer utility fee and the sanitation fee. This version of the Consolidated Fee Schedule includes those changes. Additional grammar and clarification changes have also been made by staff. Tonight, we'll discuss those changes, and the updated version is scheduled for adoption on June 22nd, 2021. Anything else you want to add to that, staff?
I'll just say that this is a discussion. The staff has reviewed all of the different fees and so forth. We do have one recommendation. It has to do with, we list as a separate type of building permit, a deck. And it was brought to our attention from a resident that on this, that they had a question on it, and we do not have, it's not considered a separate type of building permit. It's considered just a regular application. And so that was staff recommendation came through today to just delete that where it says deck after home built. because it's incorporated in the actual regular general building permit application. But we've given an outline of what those changes are. Some of those changes relate to the budget, and a lot of them are just grammatical. And I've given a copy of a summary of what those are. So we're here to answer any questions. If you see additional changes and so forth that you would like to change, or you disagree with any of these changes, so that when it comes forward in 2 weeks, it'll be the way that you want it to be.
Okay, other comments or questions?
Mayor, I have about 6 different comments, if I may.
Okay, go for it.
First one under Chapter 1, Administrative Charges. Number 7, audio recordings on a CD. Number 13, information forms on CD. Are we still burning CDs, or can we just provide things electronically, electronic file?
I don't believe we've ever had a request for a CD. That charge is there. We provide it, as you say, in other formats. But if a citizen wants it on a CD, that's why the charge is. CD is kind of an old way of doing it, yes.
We still have the technology and capability to burn a CD here at the city?
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. The next one I have is on Chapter 5. If I can find it here real quickly. Business licenses. I gotta find where I'm at.
Page 53 of 102.
I got 77 of 102. I'm gonna look at the clean copy. We have home occupation, group home, short-term and vacation rental. I recommend we add a 4th one for internal accessory dwelling units, since we just developed that code and it's going through the process. I think we ought to have a fee identified. I would recommend it be the same as the other 3, $50, plus an annual fire inspection fee. Looking at number 2 under Chapter 5, sorry, ticky-tack. You got 2 asterisks after item 1 and item 3, and only 1 asterisk after item 2, but I don't see the relative difference. I guess the definitions are down below, but never mind. I was thinking of a different asterisk. Forget that. Strike that last one. That one doesn't count. Chapter 7. If I can find my Chapter 7.
Ask a question while you're looking at. It's on one of your comments.
Okay.
So if I had an accessory dwelling unit, it's not, and you're putting one of your kids in it, or your mother-in-law, or a long-term rental, it's not a business.
No, because you're part of the family unit as the definition. This is a internal accessory dwelling unit would be something you're renting out for over 30 days. It falls under a different definition. So you need a business license to have an internal accessory dwelling unit.
Do you even as a long-term rental? Not as a long-term rental.
So this is associated with the recent state code changes. And so the code committee's been working on creating an internal accessory dwelling unit code for the city. We have until October 1st to put that in place. And as part of that, the state code allows us to treat long-term rentals as a business.
Okay. I just knew we currently did not. So
that's correct.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you for that clarification. Appreciate that, Councilmember Halverson. Chapter 7, number 8. I can scroll through it real quickly. You have 2 definitions for the asterisk. You have the one right there on the bottom of page 85 of 102. It says this includes a 5% administrative fee. Then you go to the top of 86. You have another asterisk that has a totally different definition. So I'm trying to understand which definition applies to Central Weaver Sewer that has the asterisk identified to it on line section 8. Bottom of page 85, top of page 86, 2 definitions with the asterisk. Do they both apply?
Yes, they both apply.
Okay.
And what we can do is we can combine those 2 asterisks into one.
Thank you. Chapter 13. That's on page, I don't write the page number down. Sorry, guys. Family Activity Center. The double asterisk, as you scroll down, it talks about fees. It says elected officials. Okay, you got rid of the double asterisk. I didn't catch that one. Thank you, because it says free yearly family pass and a double asterisk, which was onto it, said it differently. Never mind, scratch that one. Chapter 14, I posed a question to the Parks Committee. Chapter 14 talks about park fees. And I noticed we have a park fee number 6 for volleyball courts. And my mind went to, well, we have some basketball courts that are going in. We have some pickleball courts going in. Should there be fees for that, or should we get rid of the volleyball court fees? And I think you're going to take that back to committee.
Yes, thank you very much, Councilman Windsor. We had an email discussion with the Parks Committee, and staff is already on it. So we will amend it as it comes back.
I appreciate that.
Are you amending it, or what are you doing?
So we will have to amend the fee schedule once we have it in place. We're going to do some research as to what other cities charge, what's typical, and then present that to the council.
I will just make a comment that we do know that even though we adopt this on the 22nd, as soon as we know the new storm sewer rate, we will need to bring this schedule back. And at that time, if we have the new rental fees, at that time when we bring it in, we'll bring all 3 changes back at that time. Otherwise, we'll bring them back as we have them. So
check out the staff. Boom, on it.
Pretty awesome.
Thank you, Mark. The last one is more of a clerical item. It's in chapter 16, 2A, where you talk about the water fees. If you look at the 4th column, residential without secondary water available, and you look at the row 15,001 gallons to 30,000 gallons, it says 2.3. If you can make that $2.30, similar to all the other listed in that table to these. Thank you.
Is that it?
That was my 6.
I had every single one of those written down too. So
Good thing that Councilman Windsor covered those for you.
Can I make well, in this case, there's no real motion because it's just a discussion.
Yeah.
If this is more of just a reminder for council and maybe for planning commission if they're watching, but there are times when we discuss things about an item that need to be in the motion. So in this case, this is why we brought it forward as a discussion item, so we could identify those things, get it all ready to go. But if this were the case where you needed to make a motion, we'd want to make sure that all of those things made it in the motion, because there are times we discuss things and then don't put it in the motion, and the motion is the actual action. And so just a friendly reminder there, that's not an issue necessarily, just an opportunity to those motions are what carry, not the discussion beforehand. So thanks for indulging me on that.
I would just like to say thank you to all those staff who have gone through this. A lot of eyes have looked on this, and I also appreciate the council going through and identifying these, because no matter how many times different people have looked at this, we miss some of these little grammatical errors and so forth. And I do appreciate being caught on those, because we do want to have the best product possible. And sometimes those just get missed, or at the last minute we make a change, and the eyes who looked at it before don't get to see it a second time. So I just want to thank you.
Well, you did an awesome job. I want to compliment the staff and what they put forward, and my comments only to help out, not to belittle. So appreciate your feedback on that, and you did a great job.
Yes, thank you, staff. Any other questions or comments?
Mayor, I do, sorry.
Yep.
Again, I really appreciate your summary of all the changes. It's nice to look at that and skim through that rather than have to go through the red line and all the other things. So thank you for that. I do have a couple questions and then some potential discussion things. Some of them say annual and others don't. So is it a one-time fee on anything that doesn't say annual, or are they all annual? Like these
Can you give a
business
specific
licenses,
example?
like the various business licenses and fees for, yeah, sorry, I should have highlighted which one. So the mobile business license, it's a $50 license. Is that recurring, you know, is that an annual thing, or do they do it once and they can continue doing it? You know, things like that. Some of them say per person, per year, per site, but some of them just say, you know, a certain fee, and it wasn't clear whether it was an annual fee or a one-time fee.
As a general rule, if it does not have a time associated with it, then it's a one-time fee.
Okay.
But if there are specific questions as you look at that and go, should that be annual? Then, you know, perhaps that's a grammatical issue we need to look at rather than.
All right, I'll go back through and see if there are any that were specifically
Okay, I
like
can
that.
see the one that you're talking about. And it's just the mobile business license fee, and that it should say per year. I agree with you. I believe that is I believe all of the business license fees are per year, and everyone renews every year.
Yeah, I mean, if it was up in a paragraph
I
at the
think
beginning,
maybe- or at the beginning where we talked about this section is business licensing. Maybe what we can do, we'll look at that, but maybe we can add that all of these fees must be renewed annually, because I believe every one of these fees is
The mobile business one is one that I think we need to look into. I know that that's typically associated with a food truck or something that comes for an event. And so that timeline might be different. It might be something like that. So yeah, clarity there is probably a good thing. We'll talk with business licensing and find out what that needs to look like.
the other question I had is, where do some of these fees come from? Like mining, it's $1,377. I mean, is that a state mandated something? Did somebody just come up with a wonderful number like that? I mean, several of these that are.
You wonder if they're just holdovers from days gone by, which could be the case.
I learned last time that there's certain things we have to put in there for certain businesses. And so I just was wondering if these fees that are, you know, I mean, obviously there's a sexually oriented business fee, you know, are those all dictated to us?
For the most part, I don't.
Okay.
Well, I should take that back. There are times where state code does direct a range of fee or a specific fee. For the most part, we have general discretion on this consolidated fee schedule. However, that has holes in it because there are times where it is a state thing, or it's a range, for example, violations of code and things like that. The state does provide direction at times. So I think that's kind of a case by case basis, you know, depending on the fee. For the most part, I would say the majority of these fees are ones that are internal to us that we choose.
At times, if we have an ordinance that relates to a particular type of business, whether or not maybe even a business that we don't want, but if we have an ordinance on it and in the ordinance it addresses the fee, then it'll be in there. And I was just thinking on mining, the pits, some might be considered. It's different. It depends on your definition of mining. And so there are some that maybe are obsolete, but we haven't gone through every one to eliminate any that are non-required. That wasn't something that we did. We look at what we have and the ones, especially look at the ones we know are active and current. But
yeah, and I'm not necessarily suggesting they change. I was just curious as to how they came about. So the questions I had maybe just for discussion is, we have a few that are identified as visitor, like the Family Activity Center. There's a visitor pass that's, you know, or a non-resident, pass that's obviously a little bit more than a resident. Our volleyball pit, we don't charge non-residents any more than we charge residents. Same thing for one of the other ones, the baseball diamond and the stage use. That's just curiosity as to why some non-residents fees are the same as a resident and others.
Mhm.
Or-
I actually asked on the Curtis Brown, our recreation director, and he said that he just never has. He just feels that the usage doesn't need that. But I think those would be a good topic to take back to our Parks and Recreation Committee. And if they, as they're working on the pickleball and they're working on the pickleball courts and that, let's put this on the same agenda to review for the recreation fees, the resident, non-resident fee, and see if we want to make a change to that. I would defer to the Recreation Committee to review that and come back with a change as opposed to changing it right now. But that's up to the council.
I'm fine with that.
We're happy to do that. Thank you.
That's all I had, Mayor.
Okay, anybody else? All right, let's move to the next item then, which is the American Rescue Plan Act update. The American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 was passed on March 10th, 2021. On May 10th, the Treasury Department issued its guidelines on the act. Staff has prepared a presentation to update the City Council on what we know so far about the funding the city expects to receive, the timeline for receiving and spending these funds, and the eligible use of the funds. The final guidance and distribution of the funds to South Weber City will come from the state of Utah within the coming months. So I'll turn the time over to staff now.
Okay, I will bring you up to date on some of the things. This is an ongoing process of getting information. There was a release today by the Treasury Department, which I haven't had a chance to review, but I'll just go over some of the highlights. The money that will be coming to South Weber City. We are considered a non-entitlement city, and that means our population is under 50,000. Those cities over 50,000 will get the money directly from the Treasury. Those who are under, the money will go to the state of Utah, and then the state of Utah will distribute that money to us. That money has of yet not been received by the state of Utah. Once the state of Utah receives the funding, then they have 30 days to distribute it to the cities. The money coming to South Weber City will come in two amounts, two equal amounts. One we anticipate in July, and the second amount a year later. So that's the timing. When we got the CARES Act, that money had a specific deadline on when we had to spend it, and it was a short deadline. This money we have until December 31st, 2024 to spend. So most of the guidelines that I have read and coming from the various organizations are saying, take your time, don't rush to spend it. This is one-time money and use it the most appropriately according to the greatest needs within your city. There are a few areas that the money can be used. As we look at it, there's a long list. There's 157 pages that talk about how the money can be used. However, I'm just going to narrow it down to the ones that I see that we are eligible. The first one is for premium pay for those workers who work during COVID. And during CARES Act, they said this money can only be used for public safety. The latest publication that came out from the Treasurer's Department says this is the only area that you can go retroactive, and you can go back to the beginning of COVID and pay any worker who worked during this period. If they worked out in the public or they worked in an office but were around other workers, then that money can be paid out to city employees retroactively as what they call premium pay.
Can I ask a question? Is the time frame just for 2019? Or I'm sorry, 2020?
It starts March.
March of 2020.
And it doesn't say the time period. And so I think that's a decision that the council would have to look at if you're going to do it and what thing. Personally, in the state of Utah, with what we've seen, I think we're at the end of that period. Everybody is back to work. As you can see, we've taken down barriers. My staff is at full staff. Those who are working remotely are back in the office. And so as I made one proposal today, when we're still looking at these, but would be March to March. But this is a council decision, and that's why we're discussing it. And I'm not making any strong recommendations, but that's one of the areas that we can consider using the money for. The other area has to do with it can be used for water, sewer, stormwater, or broadband infrastructure, which basically is talking about construction. And they list a whole lot of things that in those areas that how you could spend the money. The guidelines suggest that you prioritize the needs in those 4 areas and go after where you have the greatest need. As Wayne has talked about the capital facilities plan, we have a capital facility plan for those 3 departments, not for broadband because we don't have broadband yet, but for water, sewer, and storm drain. If we don't have deficiencies, then we still have projects, then you could use the money to prioritize those projects as to which is the highest and do those projects sooner as opposed to the schedule we have using normal revenues and impact fees. So those are basically the 2 areas. They do talk about cyber security. If you're worried about, if you want to invest in cyber security specifically, but it isn't totally tied to that, to your water, sewer, stormwater infrastructure. If you do something to increase or to reduce the risk of having a cyber attack, and which we have seen across this nation already. Specifically, if we did something to protect our infrastructure from any kind of cyber attack and hacking, then that is a legitimate fee or expense. So that's what I just wanted to outline. It's coming, but we have time to discuss it, to make the decisions. We've got from the time we actually receive the money until December 31st, 2024. Oh, there is not a rush, but I do think we need to begin our work to look at those. And I'll turn it back to the council to any questions that you may have or comment.
Mark, do you have any idea of the amounts that we'll receive?
The first estimate that was given out by the National League of Cities and Towns was about $800 and I believe $30,000. And we would get that in 2. Now, some of those have changed and been adjusted by the Treasury, and the state of Utah will make the final determination of how much we get. So that was the estimate coming down. But until the money actually arrives at the state of Utah, then they will look at the populations of everyone who is under the 50,000 and distribute that money then.
So that 832,000 you mentioned was South Weaver's portion?
Yes, that's South Weaver's.
Thank you.
Coming 2 groups a year apart.
Mark, word you're looking for is tranche.
I'm going to say distribution.
Allocation.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, other
Yeah, I got a question if I can jump in here. Mark, from your understanding of what you read, water, sewer, stormwater, would a public works building that services those 3 enterprise funds qualify as a legitimate project?
It's a good question, and it's one we need to research. And when we finally get further clarification from the state of Utah, we can do that. They do have a process that if you have a project that you believe is appropriate and is not on the list of either the approved or the excluded, then you can petition the Treasury Department for approval of a particular project that doesn't clearly fall into these guidelines. So with the public works facility, it is a possibility. And that's all I can say right now from my understanding. We can research it. We have the potential to petition to have it declared eligible, if that is the choice of this council.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Is it a possibility that could include like infrastructure at the park, utilities? No.
That is, I hate to say that, but that is not anywhere close to.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry to burst bubbles. This is just.
That wasn't the time frame, and maybe I just missed you saying it. Wasn't it extended as well? Pretty, as far as the money had to be spent, it's
The
quite long.
projects have to be approved and bid. I think it would be the best way to say it, by December 31st of 2024. If it's underway at that point, yes, you could extend it. It can be extended past that. But your decision and all the work to get that project going would need to be done prior to the end of 2024.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anything else? Let's move to Recreations, Arts, and Parks Tax, or the RAP. If approved by residents, a municipality may increase the sales and use tax by 0.1% specifically to fund parks, cultural programs, and rec programs. This is commonly referred to as a RAP, ramp, or ZAP tax. Under the Utah Code 5912-1402, this potential increase may be placed on the ballot as an opinion question and would result in the ability of a municipality to increase the sales and use tax by 0.1%. A municipality may not impose this tax if the county in which it is located already imposes the tax. If implemented, revenues generated from the RAP tax must then be used on specific projects in the community, such as parks, cultural arts programs, and rec programs. The funding may be used for capital improvements and operations of publicly owned operated amenities such as parks, playing fields, courts, trails, bike paths, etc. The council must decide whether to put this issue on the ballot for this November, because notification must be to the Lieutenant Governor's Office 75. Oh my goodness. I love this microphone. 75 days prior to the election, with an additional 60 days prior to that for the county to review the intent and provide a response. If the council decides to pose the question to the community, a voter information pamphlet must be prepared that would include, among other things, the exact ballot language, arguments for and against the proposition, voting location, and date of the election. A 0.1% sales tax equals 1 penny for every $10 spent. City staff estimates a RAP tax would generate approximately $60,000 per year based on the current sales tax projections. If passed by election, the tax would be in effect for 10 years. A reauthorization vote would then be required at that time to see if the community would like to continue to utilize the tax. Thank you. Okay. With that being said, are there comments or questions on this tax?
I have a question. So on the information of for and against, who writes that? Does the city write that, or who does that?
It's put out to the residents that they could write a for and against.
Oh, the residents
There's
do.
a specific process for that, for who writes those. And then there's a rebuttal process as well. And all of that goes into the voter information pamphlet. So ultimately, if the council makes the decision tonight that they wanted to pose this question to the community, that would be a trigger for a process that staff would go through to prepare that information and get that out to the public, including being able to make arguments for and against.
And if the public doesn't have, that nobody writes for or against, is it just left blank?
Yes, I've actually seen that where a voter information pamphlet had a for argument and it said no against argument was provided. So I have seen that, yes.
So how does the council feel about this?
I think it's important for us to make it clear to the public that we're not necessarily pushing this. We're putting it out as an option for the public to vote upon, right? So this is not, it's an opportunity for us to be able to improve our parks and recreation facilities, but it's not necessarily, something that the city is pushing or promoting. And so we're allowing our citizens to voice.
I got a clarification. You say it's 1 penny for every $10 of sales tax revenue. Is that sales tax revenue generated within the city's jurisdiction?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's only on sales tax within our boundaries, right, that we're able to add that 0.1% to.
That's on the ground, not online.
It would also include online.
Okay.
Yes, any point of sale within the city like that generates sales tax. I know other municipalities that look at RAP tax talk quite a bit about this is the type of revenue stream that is able to generate revenue from outside the city, meaning if you have visitors from outside the city that come and make purchases within your community, then you're receiving revenue from people that are not your own residents. Our argument is a little bit different, right? Because we don't have a ton of that point of sale, although we do have some. That point of sale within the city, yes.
Well, our largest sales tax, as you pointed out, is who generates that is coming from businesses and customers outside of our city. So a lot of that is coming from outside of this city from one employer. But I'm in favor of putting it out there for the citizens to vote on. I think it's comes back to the key point of, do you want to increase the amenities at some of these parks, and do you want to sustain what we have? Let's let the citizens vote for that. Without being a huge city that has a lot of businesses and other things to support that, and if that's the way people want to keep it, then I think they need to decide if they want to pay something like that. I think other cities, it's worked very, very well. I look at how it's benefited Ogden. It's benefited them incredibly. So my kids benefited from it drastically as I lived in Ogden. So I think it's a great thing.
I agree with Blair. I think that it would be a great thing. I know that I think Hooper was able to get like $300,000 in pickleball courts with their tax. So it would be a great thing for smaller cities, especially. I know that we need to be careful about not taking sides, but as far as just getting basic information out, are we able to put that on the city's website in the case that there isn't a for or against argument or a pamphlet?
So anytime there is a ballot proposition, there are laws surrounding what cities can and can't do. And so, like you said, the city is unable to take a side. We're presenting an option. And so, yes, there are some things we could do on our city website as far as providing basic information. But as far as the city putting any time or money into campaigning, for lack of a better word, for or against, that's not an option for the city. If there are residents that wanted to get involved and put money toward it, either side, then they have every opportunity to do that. But as a city organization, we're not able to put time and resources and
but
money
we could
into
put
that.
like a fact sheet or something.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is the city's responsibility to put together the voter information pamphlet.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
You want to weigh in, Glenn?
Well, I think it's a positive thing, and I'm for putting it on the ballot, allowing the citizens to vote.
Okay.
I absolutely think we should put it on the ballot for our citizens to vote on.
I think it'll be a wonderful election year to be able to have the voters vote on it. I think it's going to get a lot of attention.
All right. Looks like you have your answer.
Okay. We'll start that process.
Okay, great. All right, the next item is the property tax certified tax rate, and I'm just going to turn the time over to staff to address this topic.
Okay, we provided in the packet estimates for 4 different options that the council was interested in information about. Ultimately, I want to do just a quick overview of how property taxes work. And again, I know the council is familiar with this, but each year the city council each year that we, let me say it this way. We set our certified tax rate. We have that decision-making ability. Each year, the county provides to us what that rate is. And then we are able to choose to accept that rate or make any changes. So each year, we go through the process of setting a certified tax rate. It is based on the amount of dollars received for the city. So we receive the same amount of dollars from year to year in property tax, which means the rate changes year to year, and the county is the one who figures that out and tells us what that new rate would be. So each year the city does not go through a truth in taxation process, the rate decreases a little bit. Thus the need a couple of years ago when we did a doubling, 100% property tax increase, it got our rate back to the same place it was in the mid-90s. Shows you how that rate changes. We doubled it and the rate was the same as the mid-90s. So we have a couple of options here now this year with the paramedic transfer discussion. The county will be stepping away from a portion of the property tax rate that they charge. The table in the packet that Lisa's put up there as well shows these different options. So option one is for us to just take this new rate that the county provides to us, essentially a property tax decrease in rate, and then not do anything with the paramedic rate. And that would give us an estimated $781,000 in total tax revenue. We could also accept the new rate, but add the paramedic amount that the county is stepping out of. And you can see the various rates there. That would give us an additional amount of total revenue at $854,000 estimated. Or we have the option of holding the city rate to where it was last year and not adding the paramedic rate. Or we could hold the city rate from last year and add that paramedic rate. And those show the various amounts. I think that it's important to note for the community how much that looks like on a monthly bill or on an annual tax bill. And so I'll just drop straight down to the bottom one because that's the highest revenue generator. That option 4 of holding the tax rate from last year of the city portion and then adding the paramedic rate to it, a total increase to the city amount would be $56 for the year. However, 27 of that is simply moving from the county line item to the city line item. So the effective change is not the 56, but it would be a $29 a year increase for that option 4. The others back down off of that, which staff provided in an email to the council. You could see those other amounts, which we can, obviously, whatever the council decides tonight will come forward to make an official decision on the 22nd. The process is the council will adopt a certified tax rate on June 22nd, and then that information will be what is published prior to the truth in taxation hearing. We'll hold the truth in taxation hearing on the 17th of August, and then the following meeting, the council would make the final decision of what that certified tax rate would be. So on the 22nd, you're essentially declaring your intent of what you want the certified tax rate to be, but the final decision is made after the truth in taxation hearing in August. That's the general overview. I think as far as the arguments for or against, that's up to you, but we're happy to answer questions as a staff on any of that.
I'll just also add, I apologize. I gave to Lisa the original chart and not the last chart that I gave to you with those 2 columns that David just referenced. So that's why it isn't up there. I apologize for that.
Okay, council, any questions or comments?
I think the staff's done a great job in getting the information back to us that we asked. I'll just say that I think it's prudent that we go with option 4, which would be a combined rate of 001522, which would have a net effect of $2.25 a month or $29 a year for the average citizen. I think that's the right thing to do at this point in time.
I would agree with Wayne.
I would agree with Blair.
But not Wayne.
You want to say it, Angie? I'll be the tail end.
Okay, I agree with Haley.
I agree with all of them.
And I would, I mean, when we actually make this official, I mean, if we can get the other columns, it's very helpful for everybody to see.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we don't find ourselves in the same position we were a couple of years ago. And I vowed that I wouldn't allow that to happen. And I think this is the prudent thing to do.
I will just add that the steps that we need to do on 2 weeks from tonight, we need to adopt a proposed certified tax rate. And that's why we're having the discussion tonight. What we pass on that night will generate all the different publications, notifications and information that goes out to the public prior to our August public hearing. We will have an August public hearing on the property tax rate, and then that'll be followed in the following week by adopting the final certified tax rate.
All right, thank you, Mac and staff. Any other questions or comments?
I just like to commend staff again for that layout and making it easy to understand for us and the residents. Appreciate your work on it.
Yes, thank you. All right, let's go to reports. New business. Do we have any new business?
I have an item. It would be mostly for I don't know, UDOT or our sheriffs. There is right by the Morgan Trout Farm. There is at the very, very south end of the road, right on the on-ramp from 193.
I like that dirt road. Don't get rid of that.
There's a dirt road that people kick off and come around on the frontage road, and it's very dangerous. So it needs to be blocked off.
It gets backed up to the hill. I had 2 people do it for me the other day, and they just cut over the dirt road and then go down.
So they're getting off of 89?
They're getting off of
Off of
89.
89.
Really?
It's
onto the dirt road?
onto this little dirt road. It really is dangerous.
Oh, wow. Move that big sand pile.
What happened is when they ran the fiber up the hill,
They knocked down the fence.
they took the fence down, and the fence has never gone back up.
Little barbed wire fence that was
And
there.
I mean, it's quite a trail now.
It
It's
is.
not a little.
So maybe we need to touch base with the company that installed the fiber too, that they need to make those repairs as well. But I feel like that should be a big priority because it's not safe.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
That's all that I have.
Thank you. I would like to put a pitch in for microphones. I'm sorry, but these are brand new and I don't know if they've ever worked the way they're supposed to. So if we can.
I've contacted, they're supposed to be coming back out. It never fails when do it, but what I will do is I do have 3 extra. It appears to be that there's 3 microphones that directly go out, and we will replace those with new ones that are downstairs. See if that solves the problem. They've looked at the whole system and they can't duplicate or make it fail, only in our city council meetings.
Can we invite them to be at our city
Yeah,
council meeting?
they come to any one of them, they would hear this.
They do monitor.
Yeah.
Do you know which mics aren't working?
Yours, the mayor's, and Wayne's.
Did
Those are
you
the ones-
select us on
those are
purpose?
those are the ones that we have, that I have noticed and to go out.
I talk a lot.
So
Okay.
mine has occasionally.
Angie wants to join the club.
I don't want to join the club. I'm just pointing out.
Haley seems
Yeah, I
to
think
be
some
the
are worse
most.
than others.
So, no, we haven't forgotten about that, and we
I
want.
think me and Joe can tie on it. They don't like us.
They don't.
It's a
Maybe
time
it's just 'cause you guys talk the most.
too long. I don't-
We got important things to say, Blair.
Get worn out a little bit and we'll take a look.
All right. Any other new business? Okay, then let's go to reports. Dave Mack, Chief Tolman, and I conducted interviews yesterday and today for the Community Services Director position. And we have some great applicants, and so we've done the first round of interviews, and we will go to the next step. But they're going well so far. We should have a good person in there, hopefully before too long. All right. Also, the candidate filing period closed for city council and mayor. We have 3 candidates for mayor: Wayne Windsor, Rod Westbrook, and Lance Nelson. And so they will be having a primary election. And then we have 3 candidates for council: Angie Petty, Joe Dills, and Marty McFadden, and they won't need to have a primary election. Like the, fortunately for them. So thank you for all of you that have applied or filed, and let the best man win, I guess, or woman.
Feel offended.
Yeah, Angie, you're the only female on there.
You got to represent.
All right. I think that's all I have. So let's go to Councilman Halverson.
I don't have anything to report on other than the planning commission has a very full agenda. And do I have a volunteer that would like to take my place? Because I will not be able to attend on Thursday.
Planning commission.
If somebody wants to sit in on talk about mosquitoes, I'd be happy to take your.
Angie and I will be at YCC. No, we won't.
I mean, I don't know. It's Thursday, this
This
Thursday.
Thursday?
Mhm.
Angie's
6
free, I
o'clock.
think.
I've got a conflict.
I do too.
Let me check my calendar.
Okay.
I think I'm washing my hair, but can I get back to you on that?
Please. Thank you.
All right. Councilwoman Hours.
So PR is just continuing to work on the website. I think we might be making some slow progress. So hopefully when I come back at the beginning of July, we're going to say we have a fabulous website that's live and ready to go. Right, Dave?
I would like to address the elephant in the room of why this is taking so long.
I wasn't trying to blame. If that came across that way, that's not what I meant to imply.
No, I didn't take it like that. I just know that that's the question, right? That we've been dealing with this for so blasted long. Why are we still dealing with it? And as of right now, we have essentially all of the content from our old website migrated over to the new website, but we're in process of reorganizing it and putting it into a format that's easier for people to navigate through the site. And that is proving to be quite frustrating and quite challenging. And so that's where we're at right now is the look and feel, I think, is great. Information is on the site, but we don't want to put it out there when its current state is harder to use than the old website that people are used to. So until we have that cleaned up and ready to go, we don't want to go live and release that. So we're still working to make that a more user-friendly experience. And once we feel comfortable that we're there, then we'll make it live.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Councilman Soderquist.
I don't have any updates.
All right. Councilwoman Petty.
The Parks Committee just has an update on the Canyon Meadows West project on Thursday. So we'll get a update, see where we're at.
Great. Councilman Windsor.
For the public's knowledge, an RFP was posted last week for fiber to the premises. This is to get additional information as to what services are available, their schedule, their costs, and so forth. Like when we, I think we're expected to get those in by the end of the month. The Municipal Utilities Committee will review those, summarize, and bring back some information for discussion to see what our next steps might be. Sorry, that was me, not the microphone. I turned my head, so don't blame the mic on that one. Got mosquito abatement conversation or board meeting Thursday, and Code Committee is working on the conditional use section of the ordinance, and we're making progress, although it doesn't seem like we are, but we are definitely making some progress. And staff's working on, right now, they're going to work on a noise and light ordinance to marry with that conditional use permit, or if I said that right. Did I miss anything? All right. Do you want me to keep talking so you can clear your throat? So, okay.
Sorry. Wanted to be out of here by 8, so keep going, Wayne. Keep going.
Well, we do have a closed session to go through, so.
Yes, we do have a closed session. Dave,
Report on the Cottonwood Drive project. That paving is down. There's still some final things to do with driveways so that they can feather those driveways into the new asphalt, but that is pretty exciting to me that that road is where it's at now at this point, after all that we've done and talked about, the water line underneath it, and now the surface on top. So if you haven't been over there, take a chance in the next week or so to drive on a new road that has been a long discussion and we're excited to have complete. So that's all I've got.
all right. Mac, did you have anything?
Nothing additional.
Brandon?
No, thank you.
You don't want to give a speech after all your accolades tonight?
I probably got more than I deserved there. So.
No way. All right. Michelle or Lisa, do you have anything? Okay, then I will now entertain a motion to go into closed session for UCA section 52-4-2051D to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.